620 Rip City Radio, KPOJ, Portland.
Welcome into the fifth quarter. Preston Highfield sitting in for Chad Doing. My main man, Chris Burkhart, to my right across the glass. And hey, what up? We got a Blazers victory to talk about. It had been 7 games. The 6-game losing streak is now snapped. You can call in anytime, 503-248-0620. 503-248-0620. Looks like our phone lines are already hopping just a bit. Blazers 127, Jazz 115. And I got to tell you, the Jazz also potentially tanking. This loss keeps them in 10th. There are now 3 teams, the Jazz, the Lakers, and the Pelicans, with the exact same record of 35 and 37. In 9th place in the West, the Dallas Mavericks at 36 and 37. I mean, it truly is. We've talked about it all year, but it truly is absolutely wild from 7 to 12 in this conference. The Blazers are more or less out of the playoff picture, 32 and 40. They are a good 3 games back of the 12 spot. So they're still pretty much out of the play picture. But listen, I mean, I know a lot of people are probably like, all right, well, great. Now we're slightly less, optimistic about getting Victor Wembanyama or fill in the blank. And it's like, that's true. You can get on Twitter and complain to that cesspool, get your likes, get your retweets, but let's just enjoy this win, huh? Let's just enjoy the win. I'm always in a better mood. You're always in a better mood when the Blazers get the win. 127-115. Dame Lillard, 30 points, 12 assists, 7 rebounds. That prop that I had mentioned in game day, unfortunately did not hit. If anyone threw it out there, 36.5 the over/under. Dame with 30. He was 2 of 10 from 3. He missed like 3 or 4 wide open threes, so it really should have hit, but it didn't. But regardless, he was taken out of the game in a winning way. Chauncey Billups elected to take him out late with the Blazers up big, which is something we have, pretty much hardly seen all year long. So that's good to see. Wrote down a couple stats. At halftime, Blazers had 18 assists on 25 made shots. That is the kind of basketball that warms my heart, all right? I'm a big fan of team ball. I hate the iso ball. I hate the deep jacking up threes. And the Blazers played great team ball tonight. 18 assists on 25 made shots at halftime. For the game, they finished with 28 assists on 45 made shots. They only average about 24 assists per game, which is near the bottom of the league. At one point, it was the worst number in the league. And I love to see that. I know the Jazz aren't very good. In fact, they're bad defensively. They're towards the bottom of the league. They give up more points per game than the Blazers do. They give up 117 a game. But, listen, you still got to go out there and execute, especially shorthanded. No Jeremy Grant. No Ant Simons. No Justice Winslow. No Nasir Little. And the other thing I loved, 6 players in double digits for this game. T. Watt with 21, 9, and 5. I mean, that guy's a zone buster. Get him the ball at the elbow. He knows how to pass. Nurk, another good game. Another good game for Nurk. 20 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists. Like I mentioned, Dame 30, 12, and 7, and he didn't even have a good shooting night. And then Shaedon Sharpe, a plus 28 and a career-high 24 points and 9 rebounds in a start for him tonight. I know he started a couple other games this season, but 40 minutes. That alley-oop, I did call it before the game. Not that it's a crazy prediction, but the T-Watt alley-oop to a cutting baseline Shaedon who elevates, floats, and jams. It's a thing of beauty. It's one of my favorite parts about the team right now, and that was great to see. That was absolutely great to see. Shaedon is the future, there's no doubt, and him and Watford, the chemistry they have there is fun to watch, man. It's just absolutely fun to watch, and I think I think that was great for this team. 6 players in double digits. By the way, 4 players in double digits at halftime, and Cam Reddish had 9 points at half, so almost 5 players in double digits at halftime. And I'm a huge fan of team ball. I'm a huge fan of passing. I'm a huge fan of balanced scoring. And you saw all of that tonight for the Trailblazers. Phone line's open, 503-248-0620, 503-248-0620. Let's go there. Let's start out with Ken in Vancouver, who always brings an optimistic viewpoint, at least whenever I'm on these shows.
To see Dame with Shaedon Sharpe in the backcourt for a while now, because to me, this was the backcourt of the future. Now, I know it's one game of them together, but what it does is it gets rid of the smallish backcourt, okay? You got a guy who can rebound, a guy who follows up shots, a guy who moves just effortlessly with one of the best facilitators in the league in Dame, a guy who had an off shooting night, but it shows you how explosive the team can be with that kind of a backcourt. This is the backcourt of the next 3 to 4 years or 5 years, depending on how long Dame wants to play. Let's not beat around the bush. This is a foretell of what's coming in the future of the backcourt of the Blazers. Then you fill in the other pieces you need in the off season, and then we got something here. But let's stop with the smallish backcourt. It didn't work with CJ. It's not going to work with Ant. This was Shaedon Sharpe. This is the backcourt, and I loved it. Every bit of it. The ball movement was spectacular. It was a sweet game tonight.
Dude, I'm with you. And Shaedon's listed at 6'5", but it feels like he's like 6'8" with how much he jumps and he plays above the rim. I mean, what would you think about – I mean, what do you do then? I agree with you. I love the size of the backcourt if Shaedon's at the 2. What do you do with Ant?
Well, Ant's going to be a piece that will go towards picking up, hopefully, a Michael Bridges type with a draft pick or something. You know, it might take a couple draft picks, but you're going after a Michael Bridges. I think that's the kind of player you want on this team. You want a two-way player who you know can play both ways, and that would fit nice next to Jeremy Grant and give us better size in the front court. Nurk is a conundrum, but I will say this. This is what I've been looking for all season, and for the first time since I don't know when this season, this is the Nurk that the Blazers need every game. A guy who's into the game, finishing his shots, and we already know he can screen with the best of them. He's a fantastic screener, but I liked his activity on defense, and you can't beat that size. So I'm not sure Nurk is tradable because I don't think we can get back enough in return. But at least if you're able to trade Ant with, you know, some draft capital, if, of course, we don't get Wembanyama, there's always a possibility we can get him. But the bottom line is this is about building something going forward, and Dame and Sharpe together, to me, is what needs to happen going forward.
Absolutely, and I did like Nurk's game tonight. It's the second straight game where I liked his activity. He wasn't too pouty. He got hit in the face that one time where he was on the floor for a little while, but besides that, I mean, he was active. And that, by the way, that's a pretty good front line for Utah. I mean, a huge front line. Kelly Olynyk, Markkanen, and Kessler all in the game at the same time. I mean, that's a ton of size to deal with. Markkanen did get his numbers, 40 points and 12 rebounds. He was maybe the best player in the game tonight, him or Dame, just as far as one game tonight. He was pretty incredible, but I agree. All right, you got anything else, Ken?
Yeah, I just want to give props to the supporting cast tonight. And Trenton Watford is really turning into a very, very nice player. I mean, you talk about him being so great facilitating, but he hustles. His defense is getting better. He finishes his shots. He can hit the three. He's a keeper, man. I don't care what happens going forward. He is one of the keepers because he is a Swiss Army knife for this team, and you got to love. And hey, there's nothing wrong with him being twins with Shaedon. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. I mean, he's got size. He's unselfish. He's what you want. He's what you want in a role player. And he was efficient tonight, 21 points on 9 of 16, 9 boards, 5 assists. I just love his chemistry, his no-look passes from the free throw line on the elbow. I mean, that's the thing of beauty when you can have someone else facilitate and take a lot of the pressure, the playmaking pressure off of the primary scorers. I like it. I like it a lot.
Yeah.
So
The touch passes were amazing. Touch passes were amazing. That one quick pass that Nurk just barely touched it in the back. I mean, it was just sweet watching tonight. And this is some of the best team rebounding I've seen in a while by this team, going against that much size in the front court, 3 basically 7-footers, and they held their own with multiple 9-rebound guys. Dame even had 7 rebounds. Nurk didn't have a lot of rebounds, but the other guys got it done. It was just impressive. I don't care if it's one game. I want to see Dame playing on Friday with Sharp in the – I don't care. It's not about feelings being hurt. This is about the future of the team. Let's see it now. It does no good to have Shaden going back to being a bench guy, whatever. This is moving forward. This is about moving forward. The one staple we've had is Dame, because you can't replace what burns inside him. But if these other guys could pick up on it and bring it every night like they did tonight, then you got something moving forward.
Yeah, and I don't think the front office is going to ever ask Dame to sit. I mean, maybe they will, but they would do it in like a polite way. They'd be like, you can really choose here, but it wouldn't be bad if you sat. But I thought there was a chance, depending on how tonight went, that it would be his last game of the season if there was a scary potential injury or if the Blazers just got blown out. But, I mean, now you're looking at Chicago, OKC. OKC's actually a good team who plays hard. But Chicago, OKC, New Orleans, and then 2 games against Sacramento at home. So I guess Dame will probably continue to play, right? I don't think they shut him down. I don't see him.
Dame and Sharp together, because this is what it's about going forward. And if you get wins, you're probably still going to be in the lottery, and whatever happens, happens. If it's meant to be, we get Wembanyama, we get him if we barely sneak into the lottery or if we're the 6th team. I'll tell you this, though. I don't want to go into next season on a malaise like we did last season. There needs to be something to be excited about. The Dame, Shaden Sharp backcourt excites me.
Absolutely. All right, hey, Ken, thanks for the call, man. Appreciate it.
Thanks, and hey, have a great evening. Thanks, Preston.
There we go. Thanks. There's Ken in Vancouver. My guy Burkhart, my guy Chris Burkhart, joining me here on the Blazers post-game show, a.k.a. the 5th quarter here on 620 Rip City Radio. Burkhart, your thoughts on the game tonight, my man?
Good for them. That's all I got.
Okay.
They won.
The vibes are back up for a second.
Yeah, it's one part about tanking that is hard for me to swallow in the long run.
Yeah.
And Sean Highkin tweeted about it in the moment. Like, if you go on a streak to end the season where you lose 17 straight games, you might pass Orlando. You might get into a better spot in the tanking order. But it can do a lot of damage in the long run. And especially for a team that has had a lot of success with Dame, a lot of success over the years. I'm just not a fan of it in general. So I think a win like this can be important. You can still tank, you can still lose games, but games like this, you need to happen.
Well, it's a little bit like what Draymond talked about with the Rockets the other night in his viral post-game rant where he said, hey, I respect the coaches for the Rockets, but these young players are building bad habits, and that's not gonna be good for them in the long run. And it's the same thing with the Blazers and the vibes, man. You don't want to build losing habits. So right. I like it. I like that they're still trying. And by the way, Dame didn't even shoot that well tonight, and they still got the win. So the vibes are back up for a second. All right, we're taking your calls. 503-248-0620. 503-248-0620. We'll take our first break. See, the phone lines are up, so stay there, Brian and Tom. We will get to your calls here on the other side, but we'll take our quick break. Blazers beat the Jazz tonight, 127-115. Snap that 6-game losing streak. Back in the win column at 32-40 overall. 6 different players in double digits for Portland. And again, if you want to chime in, hit us up, 620 Rip City Radio on Twitter. We are also live on YouTube. Our guy Chris Burkhart, the digital media maestro, setting that up. Feel free to comment on there. We always get some good comments on there. and hit us up, 503-248-0620. Fifth quarter rolls on right after this.
It's time for the Nothing But Net Shot of the Night here on the fifth quarter, 620 Rip City Radio. The Nothing But Net Shot of the Night is brought to you by Oregon Dungeness Crab. Sustainably harvested, uniquely delicious, and always wild. Oregon Dungeness Crab always sounds good for dinner.
Blazers lead by 5. Arcidiacono up top, straightaway three, buries it. Ryan Arcidiacono from downtown. His first points of the night. Blazers lead by 8.
Yeah, that felt like a big shot. Arcidiacono hit a couple of big threes tonight. Gotta love to see those minutes from the Nova guard. Love the call from Trav earlier tonight, too, when he said that Arcidiacono's biggest moments tend to come in March. That was a good shout out. Ryan Arcidiacono there with a nice three. All right, let's go to the phone lines. We got Brian in Southwest who has been waiting on line 2. Brian, what's on your mind?
Thank you very much. I'm getting up there in years, but I was going to say about time that we had a really good game plan and keep on, Chauncey. I was going to say a little scary late in the third, early fourth. Few breaks helped. They took advantage of it. Had a way to go, Blazers. But, I'm on recording from before, 122 plus, like the good old days. Got to get over that mark. Keep it up, Chauncey. And, Shannon, Sharp, and also Nerd, and, of course, the other player that I was thinking of, too, was good, Lawford. Really good. Really good. Really good. They're a little suspect still on the three-point shooting. I don't want to mention his name. But I will tell you this. It was a game plan. It was done well. And then late in the fourth, they pulled it out. So my statement is one game at a time. Love you guys. Good to hear from also Burkhart. Miss Chad, but I want to let you know you're doing a good job, you guys. And I'll tell you, one game at a time. And I'm thankful because, Chauncey, it's late. But you know what? One game at a time. God bless you guys.
There we go. There's Brian. Thank you, Brian. Appreciate that call very much. One game at a time. I like it. And, yeah, I like the Chauncey shout-out. I mean, there have been a couple storylines to talk about with the Blazers this year, and one of them has been how much of this is on Chauncey, how much of it is on the roster. But, for the second unit to continue playing pretty well lately, coaching staff has to be doing something right. I mean, we've seen Cam Reddish play better than I thought he was going to play. Knox came in and contributed. And, the two guys who are normally in the second unit, you have Watford and Sharp get in the starting lineup tonight, and they play very, very well. I mean, Shaden, career-high 24 points, by the way, per Blazers PR. Shaden also with a career-high in rebounds with 9 and steals with 4 and three-pointers made with 4 and a career-high in minutes. And, that obviously speaks to his talent, but that's a compliment to the coaching staff, too. I mean, these are two guys who have been on the bench, and they come into the starting lineup, and they ball out on the road tonight. So I like that. I think that's a pretty good shout out there from Brian. Appreciate the call. All right, everybody, take a deep breath. We're going out to Crazy Tom, and you never quite know what you're going to get with Crazy Tom. Tom, hey man, did you watch the game? How are you?
No, I didn't watch this on the radio, but finally a game that there isn't a whole lot of negatives to say. The last caller said, keep it up, Chauncey. Well, yeah, that'd be nice, but that's not what's going to happen. Although I was shocked. I almost thought the Blazers had another coach because this isn't a game that, Chauncey is always a part of, because he finally let certain combinations play for a while. He finally did a halfway decent job of coaching. Wow. Well, one game out of every 14 is a bad ratio. 1 or 2 games out of every 14, great. You got those 2 wins, but you lost 12, you're out of here. But it was a great, awesome win. I also love it that every time that we beat Utah, it's one more stomp on the skull of Karl Malone. And so I have a joke for you guys. Is that okay?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. How do ranchers keep track of their cattle?
How's that?
They use a calculator.
Okay. Hey, that's not bad. That's a dad joke. I thought we were going to have to hit the dump button, but that was clean family fun there. That was clean family fun. I like it, Tom.
Yeah, it wasn't Dan from North Phoenix. When you get Dan from North Phoenix on, then you got to watch out.
Okay. Well, luckily, I don't know where the dump button is in here, so I could just blame it on you if it didn't happen. But that was good. Oh, did he hang up? Okay, he hung up. There's Tom. You never know what you're going to get with Tom.
That was a good Tom call. That was good Tom. That was decent Tom.
That was decent Tom. Is there a point to be made about Chauncey after this game?
I think it's hard to want to. I don't think people want to because he's rubbed them the wrong way already. But I do think coaching-wise in the last few games, I think he's shown a few improvements.
Yeah.
Game plan-wise. I mean, it's too little, too late. But maybe it goes into the next season. Maybe they get the players they want. I don't know. I like the game plan tonight. I like the way that he let Watford and Shaden Sharp play free. I like how he started the game off trying to run plays specifically through Shaden Sharp. That's not something you've seen at all this season. As he's been in the doghouse, you kind of understand the situation. You want to see what you got. And you got really good Shaden Sharp tonight, right? He really showed what he can do. It wasn't just the highlight packages, even though he did have those, right? But he played well. And it's like you and I said in the pregame show, like, I think this offseason is going to be really interesting because Shaden's going to get an actual offseason.
Yeah.
It's not draft, go to summer league, and piece this thing together. It's an actual offseason. Really, really looking forward to see the jump he makes.
All good points. And I think with Watford's obvious chemistry with Shaden and others on the team, I mean, that doesn't just come out of nowhere. A lot of that is coaching. So I got to give Chauncey his flowers on that side of things. As, you know, the youngster, Shaden's looking really good. If there's anything you can hang your hat on, if you're Chauncey, you can say, hey, well, look, you guys didn't give me much of a roster to work with as far as defense, but look what I did with Shaden Sharp this year. I took our rookie draft pick, and it looks like he's going to be a dang good player, and that doesn't just happen on accident. So right, Chauncey can hang his hat on that.
We got friend of the show waiting.
Okie doke.
Ron in Salt Lake.
All right.
He's been in here before. He doesn't go by himself. When he comes in, he brought the whole family, right? All 20 of the Gibbs. Brought him in here. Wonderful guy. He was at the game tonight, Preston, and he says he's got a story for you.
Okay, well, it's a pleasure, Ron. This is my first time meeting you. Appreciate you joining us on Fifth Quarter. What's going on?
Well, Preston, you do a really good job.
Thank you.
I got to give you props. You're a rising star. You and Chad are amazing, and you're doing a good job of filling in for Chad. I wish Chad was here tonight, to be honest, because I know we share a love and a passion for golf. So I went to the game tonight, representing PDX, and I'm sitting there. I got there early. I'm watching the Blazers warm up, and Travis comes by. I go, "Hey, Trav." And he stopped. I told him, I introduced myself. He goes, "Oh, Ron from Salt Lake." He goes, "Oh, yeah, you call in all the time." He goes, "I love your phone calls and this and that." He goes, "Great to meet you." And I said, "Yeah." And we sat down and had a great visit for about 15 minutes before the game. It was great to see Travis and meet him. It was great. But then I got asked to participate in the Qualtrics putting contest in the fourth quarter during a timeout. So I go out in front of the entire Jazz Nation at half court, shout out to Qualtrics, and I had 5 putts. The first one for $150, the second one for $250, the third one for $1,000, the fourth one for $2,500, and the last one for $5,000. Well, I lipped out the first two. But money, I was nails on the third one, and it got much longer. Every putt got much longer. I made the third one for $1,000. And then I freaking barely missed the fourth and the fifth one. The fifth one was right in the cup, and it just barely missed it for $5,000. But I won $1,000.
Yeah.
And the Blazers got the win, and I got to freaking sit down and have a good visit with Trav. So Rip City, baby.
Rip City. Wait, so you putted, obviously. Did they roll out a putting mat, or did you putt on the wood?
No, they bring out this big putting mat. It's like this long green mat, and they got a cup at the end, and it's Qualtrics, and you go to different letters, and then at the very end, and it was fun. It was fun, but
this would
Blazers,
be the company by the young billionaire Ryan Smith, who just bought the Jazz.
Ryan Smith, who bought the Jazz, it's his company, Qualtrics,
right? And
it was the Qualtrics putting contest, and hey, I won $1,000, baby, and I had a good night.
That's awesome. Did you when you hit the putt? Did it feel like a mini putt green? Did it feel somewhat like a normal green? I mean, obviously it's not going to break much or anything, but, I mean, did it feel kind of true, I guess is what I'm asking?
Well, here's what's interesting is I went down before they told me when to come down, and I actually got to practice a few putts. They had the thing laid out for me in the tunnel. So I was hitting a few putts, and it was breaking slightly to the left. And so I was money. I was nailing them. I was like, I got this thing down. And so particularly the $5,000 putt, I hit that thing, and the whole place was starting to erupt because it was going in. It was dead straight going in, and I hit it perfect based on my practice putts. But then it slightly moved to the right at the very, very end and just went over the edge.
Oh.
And it was
so
was
about halfway there, you thought it was in the hole.
2/3 of the way there, like 3/4 of the way there, it was in the hole. In fact, 9/10 of the way it was in the hole. Burkhart, I'll have to send you the video, Burkhart. But anyway, it was a great night. The Blazers, if I'm being honest, in the big picture, I want losses right now. I want development. I want Sharp to be playing. I want no injuries. I want development, but I want losses. I don't want them to try and lose,
right,
per se. But listen, I want that 6th spot. I want it. I'm being selfish for the big picture. And wins are nice, but I don't want them right now. If I'm being real.
Well, and every now and then you got to keep the vibes up, right? You got to keep the vibes up. Like, I'm in a much better mood doing this show than if the Blazers lost by 15, even if it meant a 0.2% better chance at Vic. So every now and then you got to get a win. By the way, last thing, did the Jazz fans are notorious for having interactions with players / opposing fans. Was it peaceful there? Was there anything going on? Did you see any scrums off to your right or to your left?
Oh, no. It was look, I mean, I think both franchises know a little bit of a tankathon's going on.
Yeah.
At one point our lineup was basically G League at best. People are just thinking, I mean, Ant's out, Grant's out. The second they go deep into the bench, we've got, the Island of Misfit Toys representing the Blazers for about 10 minutes. And so people are just like, hey, we're here to have a good time. But, yeah, the intensity of the building, I've been to a lot of Jazz games. It was probably as low of an intensity for a Jazz Blazer game as I can remember for a long, long time. And if you would have told me before the season started that the Blazers would be 2-0 against the Jazz on the road, I would have been like, wow, because it's a tough place to play traditionally. And but I was glad to see Shaedon. Shaedon's getting a little more comfortable. He's getting those minutes. You can tell that Chauncey and I think the organization has said, look, we're gonna focus a little bit on. They ran quite a few sets for him tonight, and that was good to see because we've got to get that kid the moxie and the confidence and the minutes, and that just comes from reps.
Yeah.
So we got to play him 35 minutes a game the rest of the way.
Absolutely. That's exactly what I would like to see happen too. All right, Ron, hey, thanks. Great call. Appreciate your call.
Good to talk to you.
There we go. There's Ron out there in Salt Lake City who went to the game and repped Rip City in Salt Lake City. You love to see that. All right, let's take a break. I've always wanted to do one of those golf mini putt-putt things on the floor for a chance to win money. I would like to do that. That'd be fun, man. I love putting for some dough. Blazers are victorious tonight, 127-115 over the Utah Jazz. Moves their record to 32-40 on the year. Still in that 13th spot in the Western Conference standings. But hey, the vibes are up for tonight, and those are some good calls. I like those calls. Coming up next, we'll hear from Coach Billups after the game. And that'll be that. Maybe a scoreboard report as well. Get you set. The Lakers and Suns doing battle right now. Kind of a tight game late. Get you caught up on all things around the NBA. That is next here on the fifth quarter with Preston and Chris on 620 Rip City Radio.
It's time for the Portland Trailblazers Drive of the Night here on the fifth quarter, hosted by Chad Dewing, 620 Rip City Radio. Drive of the Night is brought to you by Dick's Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram of Wilsonville, ready to compete with the lowest prices in town.
Now Markkanen puts up a three. That's no good. Rebound Dame. Dame pushes to Thibault. Drives, banks, dunks it in.
And welcome back to the fifth quarter. Preston Highfield, Chris Burkhart with you on 620 Rip City Radio. Vibes are back as the Blazers get the win, 127-115. Call in number 503-248-0620, 503-248-0620, as we've had some good calls tonight. I really like that call from Ron in Salt Lake City, winning $1,000 for hitting a putt. That's pretty cool. Let's hear from some Blazers in the post-game locker room, and let's start with Chauncey Billups in the Coach's Corner.
It's time for the Coach's Corner with Chauncey Billups on Blazers Game Day, presented by Henderson & Daughter. Henderson & Daughter has been supplying superior design service, quality windows, entry doors, patio doors, and window installation to the Portland and Southwest Washington area since 1977. Before you decide to just replace your current windows or exterior doors, have our designers present you with a free in-home design consultation and estimate to show you the different styles we carry that can give your home a fresh new look. Henderson & Daughter, your window and door experts.
And that's just kind of what it's about, to be honest with you. You come in here, this is a tough environment. This has always been one of the toughest places to play. That's a good team over there, a really, really, really good offensive team. And they're coached very well. So we had to be disciplined in this game, Obviously, what stands out is Shaden, and his game was incredible. T-Watt, who continues to be consistent. And then Nurk, and I just love it, obviously Dame had his normal type of game, but I just love it, we had to make adjustment and in the game playing very small with no Nurk, even though he played well, but it's like that sometimes, so it was just a fun game.
What did you like particularly out of Shaden's game tonight?
I loved his aggressiveness. On both sides. I thought he put himself into some tough spots to foul a little bit too much. But I'm always telling him, Shaden is really, really strong, and he's physical. And sometimes you're going to get some fouls like that, but just make them count. Make those fouls count. And I just thought offensively he was aggressive. He looked for his shots early and often. He left them open a few times, and he took them and knocked them down. And I didn't even care if he missed those shots. I just want him to be aggressive. And this was a big time. He got some tough rebounds for us, man. Some tough rebounds. And we need that. We needed all of them.
He's not a guy who, it always seems like he's a fairly confident guy, but, there were times tonight, particularly, there was a three-pointer where it was in kind of half transition, and he kind of stood there for a second, and then he just rose up and took it and hit it. And it seemed to me that it was I don't know if more confidence, but just the belief that I can do this. It seems like it's increasing every game.
It is, and I'm up here always telling you guys he's picking it up. He's picking it up. He's more confident because he knows more, and those are things as a coach that you can't speed that process up without actual experience. I can talk to him until he's blue in the face, but until he goes out there and fails in a few games here and there and learns from that, it's just going to be tough. And he's learning from a lot of those things now.
Kind of same idea with Trenton. We've seen that growth in tonight. Really confident. Really seemed like he was in control the entire night.
Man, Trendon, I'm just so happy for Trendon. He's just a worker. He works his butt off. He's worked on a lot of the things that I've told him, these are your weaknesses, and if you're going to make it in this league, this is what you got to get better at, X, Y, Z. And he's doing it every single time. And, the way that he plays with the feel, he has a high level of feel about him. And Trendon is one of those glue guys that all teams need. And aside from the numbers, he just impacts the team with his spirit, at all times. So when he gets the numbers, that's just extra. So you're just very happy for him.
The lineups you used to end the game, like you had Archie out there, you had Kevin Knox out there. Those guys haven't played a whole lot, really. Yeah. And you left them out there, and it worked. Like, what was kind of the thought process?
Well, with Archie, he's a pure point guard, and he can get us into our sets. He can play make a little bit for Dame. He stepped up and made some big shots in this game, and he's just tough as nails, man. So his IQ is really high. He just knows how to play. He understands the moment. And then with Kevin Knox, who we haven't seen play that much, I'm just giving him an opportunity to show what he can do, and he impacted our game tonight. His shoot, not only his shooting, but his size is impressive. Like he's a big guy, to be able to shoot it that well, and he can put it on the ground. He's not just a shooter. So to end the game like that, I just felt like we had went small, and then they turned around and started going small. I thought that they was going to try to kind of put Nurk on the island and kind of pick on him with Markkanen and Olynyk, those are tough matchups for Nurk. So I didn't want to go back to that. I felt good about what we were playing and our defensive coverage at the time. So we ended the game that way, and I thought the guys did an awesome job.
All right, there you go. There's Chauncey Billups after the Blazers' 127-115 win over the Utah Jazz. Blazers snapped that 6-game losing streak. Per Blazers PR, this is kind of what I was alluding to earlier, tonight marked just the third time this season that the Blazers have had 4 or more players score 20-plus points in a game. Lillard with 30, Sharp with 24, T-Watt with 21, and Big Nurk with 20. Another good game from Nurk. Like I mentioned, my favorite stat of tonight, 18 assists on 25 made shots at halftime. Blazers finished with 28 assists overall, above their season average, which has been towards the bottom of the league. I like watching teams that share the rock, man. I just like it. That Blazers run, when they went on a 24-6 run to basically close the second quarter, it was from 6:56 to 1:19 in that second quarter. Thought that was the biggest stretch of the game. All right, we'll take a break. We are still taking your calls, 503-248-0620. 503-248-0620. Appreciate everyone watching on YouTube as well. Feel free to keep those comments coming. Certainly having a fun time with you folks on YouTube. When we come back, we got the scoreboard report to close things out, and then I got a story from around the NBA, non-Blazers related. The Dallas Mavericks plan to file a formal protest to the NBA after something that happened in their game tonight. Mark Cuban went to his Instagram. He was so heated. It's a wild story. It'll probably lead most sports media shows tomorrow. So we'll talk about that next. You got the fifth quarter here on 620 Rip City Radio.
Collection Connection, the leaders in framing sports memorabilia, team awards, and so much more. Collection Connection offers you a one-stop, full-service framing experience. Find them online at COLLCONN.com.
Here is Kessler with the reverse. Nurk rejected it. And now it's picked up by Walker to the fast break. The lob to Sharp. Yes! Hammer jam by Shaden Sharp.
Lob play on the break to Shaden Sharp, and he shows the bottom of his tennis shoes to the Jazz.
On 620 Rip City Radio presents the Scoreboard Report, brought to you by the Stadium Sports Bar and Grill, A-Linnae's ultimate venue for sports fans every Monday night, featuring beer and wing specials and more.
All righty, 10 NBA games on today's slate. Nuggets over the Wizards, 118-104. Nikola Jokic, 31-12-7. Heat over the Knicks, 127-120. Jimmy Buckets, 35 points, 9 assists in that one. Pacers on the road beat the Raptors 118-114. Andrew Nembhard, Zags, 25-10. Pascal Siakam, 31-10-7. Warriors over the Mavericks, 127-125. Just the Warriors' 9th road win of the season. One of the worst road records in the league. More on that in just a second. Luka with 30 points, 17 assists, and 7 rebounds. Sixers dominate the Bulls, 116-91. Grizzlies over the Rockets, 130-125. Ja Morant back in action in that game. Jaren Jackson, though, with 37 and 10. Bucks throttle the Spurs. Spurs almost lost by 40 again, 130-94. Giannis with 31 and 14. T-Wolves 125, Hawks 124. Trae Young leading all scorers with 29. Of course, your Blazers with a 127-115 win. Dame Lillard 30 points, 12 assists, 7 rebounds. Lauri Markkanen 40 points and 12 boards for the first-time All-Star. He is legit for the Jazz. And finally, the nightcap at Crypto.com Arena in Los Angeles. The Lakers, 122. The Suns, without KD and DeAndre Ayton, 111, although the Lakers were without LeBron. Austin, Big Country Reeves, 25 points, 11 assists to lead the Lakers. D-Book with 33 for the Suns. I got to tell you what, the more I watch the Suns, that is your scoreboard report, the more I watch the Suns, I don't know. CP3 is really, really kind of falling off, and, you know, D-Booker's a bucket. He's an A player, A- to A player, but, boy, they, it's going to look really good on Kevin Durant if he leads them to the title, because they're looking a little shaky without him. I think I saw their record was like 3-8 since they've gotten him, but when he hasn't played, something to that effect. Not good. The Lakers, meanwhile, they're working their way back as far as NBA standings go. They'll be up in that 10 spot. They're going to get into the play-in. We'll see. It's obviously all about LeBron's health, but I still think it's wild. I don't think they'll win the title because I think that the two best teams in the East, the Bucks and the Celtics are that good. But I wouldn't put it past the Lakers somehow making a run out of the West. I really wouldn't. Crazier things have happened, especially if LeBron's fully healthy. Okie dokie. Last thing as we close out here on fifth quarter. Interesting moment in the Warriors-Mavericks game tonight. I've watched the highlight of this play. It's been tweeted out. This is from Mark Cuban's Twitter page. Essentially what happened is out of a timeout, the Warriors got a wide-open layup underneath their own basket with the Mavericks team, the entire team on the other side of the court, as well as one referee on the other side of the court. There was miscommunication. The Mavericks thought it was going to be their ball coming out of the timeout, and the refs awarded it to the Mavs. The PA guy did not announce that. Apparently, the Mavs team did not know that. That is what Cuban is claiming here. Here's Cuban's tweet. Quote, "For those wondering about the play with 1:54 to go in the third, let me explain what happened. The ref called Mavs ball. The announcer announced it. Then there was a timeout. During the timeout, the official changed the call and never told us. Then when they saw us line up as if it were our ball, he just gave the ball to the Warriors. Never said a word to us. They got an easy basket. Crazy that it would matter in a 2-point game. Worst officiating non-call mistake possibly in the history of the NBA. All they had to do was tell us, and they didn't." End quote. So per Shams Charania and some other reporters, the Mavericks are planning to file a formal NBA protest of their 127-125 loss to the Golden State Warriors tonight, with the focus on the alleged referee mistake that led to the free basket, which was a free Looney uncontested bucket. I think he dunked it or laid it up, one of the two. I can't remember, but it was a free uncontested bucket. No one was around him. Burkhart, you made a good point during the break. Why wouldn't the Mavs players be, if it was simply a change of possession, why wouldn't the Mavs players just be down near the ball anyway?
Yeah, so I'm a little confused as I watch that play. First off, the referee calls the ball off Dallas and points in the Warriors' direction.
Yeah.
Immediately after, does point to the Dallas bench, but it does look like, as some people have pointed out, that he was calling the timeout and then pointing to the Mavs bench as in they called the timeout, right?
Yep.
So his initial call was Warrior ball. Now,
Exactly. I'm watching it too. He points hard in the direction of Warriors ball.
Yep. And then soft to the bench as in like that they're calling the timeout because they were already going over there.
Exactly.
Now, my point I was making to you was if Dallas thought it was their ball, why was no one on the baseline to inbound the ball?
Yeah.
Their entire team was on the other side of the court, which was weird because they thought they were playing defense. Like if you watch that play, the way Dallas's team was lined up, Preston.
Right.
They
were on the other side of the court.
It looks like they 100% were ready to play defense. They just forgot that Golden State was going the other way.
Yeah.
Like they were getting ready to be in their half-court offensive set on the other side. They were going to inbound it to Curry, right? Curry's going to walk up the court and then get in their half-court set. They were just not ready and thinking that, Warriors were going that way, so they're inbounding under their own basket.
Yeah.
So it totally looks like Dallas got confused, but not because of whose possession it was.
Because of which basket they were defending.
It looked like the team who gets the tip and then accidentally scores an own bucket because they didn't know which way they were going. Because if Dallas thought the ball was theirs, why were they not there to inbound the ball? Secondarily, all 5 Dallas players were on the floor ready to go. Otherwise, the ref wouldn't have blown his whistle and inbounded or give the ball to the Warriors, right?
Right.
You and I have called games. And if Dallas wasn't on the court and ready, they would have been nabbed with a delay of game, right?
Mm-hmm.
It wouldn't the refs would have made sure that they're on the court ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
So they were there. The more I look
plus,
into it,
why was there no? Sorry, go ahead and finish.
No, go.
Well, I was just gonna say, and why was there no Mavs player near the ball to inbound it in the first place? You know what I mean?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
You would have at least needed someone to inbound the ball. It was very clear all 5 of them were on the floor. They just weren't close to where the ball was.
Yeah. So it looks to me like they were they defensively lined up on the full court because they were thinking Golden State is inbounding and going full court. They weren't anticipating Golden State inbounding the ball under Golden State's basket.
If you truly thought it was your ball, you would go run to where the ball
Someone would have, when they checked out of the timeout, someone would have went to the baseline to inbound the ball.
To grab the ball. Instead, they were in a defensive position.
They were in a they were not in an offensive position.
Exactly.
Like the 2 guys you can actually see in the clip.
Yep.
Were back to their basket facing Golden State as ready for them to come their direction.
Yeah.
So to me, this was all on Dallas not being in the right spot. Because again, you watch the clip. The referee's initial call is out of bounds, Golden State ball.
Yeah, he points hard. By the way, Looney, I'm watching. So in the comments underneath the main clip that got tweeted out, where Looney just gets the free bucket, there's the sequence before where the ball goes out of bounds. First of all, Looney jerks Doncic backwards. He gets away with a huge foul.
Big no call. That's a foul.
He grabs his jersey. You can see Luka's jersey get crumpled up, and he throws him backwards. And Luka's a big, slightly overweight human being. So that was not a small throw. Like Looney threw Luka backwards as he was lunging for the ball. Secondly, it's a bang bang play, but as far as who it went off of, but the ref very, very authoritatively, throws his hand in one direction. Hey, it's Warriors ball. And then softly, as you kind of indicated, softly says, all right, timeout. timeout Mavericks and points to the Mavericks bench. And so that's not indicating possession. He was just saying timeouts Mavericks bench.
Yeah.
I think, you know what I think happened is Cuban's tweet, he says the announcer announced it was Mavericks ball. I think there's a chance the PA guy butchered it and said out of bounds Mavericks ball.
Right.
And the Mavericks team was slightly thrown off by that. It still wouldn't validate why no one was going to the ball to inbound it, but I think that may have thrown off the situation too.
Yeah.
But anyways, wild times. They're not going to win whatever appeal that is if they're trying to get that loss erased from their record books. That ain't happening.
Yeah, because that's the thing. Because he said in the timeout they changed it to Warrior ball, but didn't tell anybody.
Yeah.
If you didn't know it was Warrior ball, why were you in a defensive position on the wrong side of the court?
Right.
Because again, like I told you, and you said too, if you thought it was your ball the entire time, the minute you broke the huddle, someone would have went to the baseline to inbound the ball.
I mean, I think here's now what I think. So they called a timeout thinking they had possession, so that would have advanced the ball to half court. So they were at the half court waiting because they thought the ball was going to be advanced to half court because they thought it was their ball and they called a timeout. I think that's probably what they were thinking.
But at the same time, there's still there's no Dallas player at half court waiting for a ref to come to him with the ball.
Well, they're kind of at half court. One or two players are kind of at
There's
half court.
two players in play at half court, but there's no one out of bounds at half court as if waiting for the ref to come to him with the ball to inbound it.
And I think that's what they thought, like, why aren't you bringing the ball to half court? It's still butchered by them.
Yeah, that might have happened.
It's still butchered by them, though, for sure.
Weird play all the way around.
Weird play, and I guess when you apply for a formal protest or you file a formal protest, I guess that means they're hoping that somehow that call gets reversed and they don't get a loss on their loss column. But that's not happening.
No.
It's on them. It's clearly on them. Anyways, Dallas loses. The irony here is they only lost by 2 points, i.e. that play helped lose them the game because it was a free bucket for Golden State. All right, that'll do it for us here on the fifth quarter as the phone lines are now dead. Appreciate everyone who called in, though. Some really good calls tonight here on 620 Rip City Radio. Some great calls. Always a bit more of a good vibe when the Blazers get the win. And, hey, they got the win tonight, man. Keep the vibes up during a season where, well, it's looking like they're headed for the lotto, which may be the best thing for the franchise. But you'll take a win. 6 players in double digits. Third time all season that 4 players have been over 20 points. And Dame with a 30-piece. All right, thank you to Chris Burkhart for producing and chiming in. Thank you to everyone on the programming side of things. Thank you, the fans, for listening and calling and tweeting and texting and hitting us with the comments on YouTube. Shout out to all of our followers and listeners on there as well. All right, I'll be back tomorrow on the Rip City Drive. Chad will be filling in for Justin, so Chad will be on the morning show. Justin will be on the afternoon show with the Godfather Dwight James and myself. That'll be the lineup tomorrow here on 620 Rip City Radio. So for Chris Burkhart and for everyone else at home, I'm Preston Highfield. Thank you for listening, and good night, Portland, Oregon.